up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly Sports History for March 7th, 2025. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a feel-good Friday edition of the podcast. Heading out to Clearwater in a few hours, so getting this in a little bit earlier. As I mentioned, I think everything should be good. The obviously background and things like that will be off, but we will have episodes every day while I'm down in Clearwater. Be sure to follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mont on Twitter and TikTok. On Instagram at Philly Jimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont. Continue to spread the word as we grow this thing. Some good things coming up on the horizon, including something special today. Then go check out my friends at the onpattison.com site. Lots of good things going on over there. Great Philly sports coverage. You can get an email newsletter delivered right to your inbox. They feature us in there a couple times a week. Good things happening over there, so go check them out. The Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame ballot is out, and you have a chance to get your voice heard and win 2 VIP tickets to the ceremony in November. All you have to do is click the link in the description, fill out your ballot, and if your ballot most closely resembles the actual induction class, you will win those 2 free tickets. All of the information about the inductees or their candidates is in there on a PDF, but go fill out the ballot for your chance to win 2 VIP tickets to the ceremony in November at Live Casino. All right. Eventually, I feel like this is going to be something more produced up. But new segment here on Fridays. And I got this idea right around the Super Bowl. There was a guy that tweeted something out that said he had asked ChatGPT to create an alternate reality where the Eagles did not draft Jalen Hurts. And it was brutal. It was very dark. It was not good. We would have been old Philly to the 100th power had this scenario played out. So I decided we're going to have some fun on Fridays. I'm going to call it Fridays with AI. Not that AI, but artificial intelligence. It's taken over the world. Everything's everywhere. So I figured, why not have some fun with Philly sports with it on a feel-good Friday? We're going to do some of those alternate realities. Some dream matchups between teams within the city, and then how would our teams match up with some other historically great teams. I played around with some historical conversations between Philly athletes. Really, anything goes. I'm messing around with some ways. I don't like it yet, but like a 6 degrees of separation type thing. But just having some fun with AI, embrace the future, and all of that. So this is Fridays with AI. And today, on the heels of the Super Bowl, I thought, why not simulate a dream matchup between the 2017 Eagles and the 2024 Eagles? But that was complicated because essentially every place and every site and every AI thing that I used had Carson Wentz as the starting quarterback for that 2017 team. So I figured, why not do one of each? Simulate it with Foles, simulate it with Wentz. So here we go. So the first one obviously was Wentz. And the 2017 team beat the 2024 team 33-20. In the first quarter, they moved the ball well, the 2017 team, but could not get it into the end zone until Carson Wentz hit Mac Hollins on a touchdown. Saquon answered right back with a 1-yard touchdown of his own for the 24 team. And then a blocked punt set up a LeGarrette Blount touchdown to make it 17-7. The 2017 team did add on 2 Jake Elliott, or 20. It was 17-7 for the 2017 team. That's a tongue twister. The 2024 team added 2 Jake Elliott field goals in the second quarter. But Wentz did the 2-minute drill, drove the 2017 team down. Jake Elliott hit another field goal. It's 20-13, the 2017 team at halftime. And then for the most part, it just was all the 2017 team. Torrey Smith caught a touchdown pass early in the fourth quarter to make it 30-13. Hard to believe that defense was going to give up 30 points, but it could be a testament to how good that 2017 team was. Saquon did break a 64-yarder with 2:03 left, but it was too little, too late. maybe there's a little bit of bad blood brewing already with Dougie P and the future Eagles, because Dougie P opted to go for a field goal with 3 seconds left. Game in hand, 3 seconds left. Dougie P kicks a field goal to give the 2017 team the 33-20 victory. Carson Wentz was the player of the game, 226 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 to Mac Hollins, 1 to Torrey Smith. It was a pretty clean game, but the 2024 team could not get any type of passing game going against the 2017's pass rush, giving up 4 sacks, but Jalen Hurts was under pressure the entire time. So in this AI world, the 2017 team beat the 2024 team 33-20. Dougie P with a field goal with 3 seconds left with the game in hand, trying to run up the score. So I simulated it again with Nick Foles just to see if it would be any different. And it was a completely different story. It was a defensive battle. 2017 led 6-3 at halftime. And that kind of played into what this 2024 team did early in games, especially early in the season. But the second half was all Saquon Barkley. He had a 26-yard touchdown run for the only touchdown of the game. The 2024 team beat the 2017 team 23-6 with Nick Foles as quarterback. Saquon Barkley was the player of the game, 91 rushing yards and a touchdown. But it was all Jake Elliott. Jake Elliott worked overtime, kicking for both sides in this game. But Jalen Hurts did add another 56 yards on the ground. I don't know if AI is giving Carson Wentz too much credit. Nick Foles not enough. The 2024 team is not getting the respect. But there you have it. Fridays with AI, the 2017 team versus the 2024 team. With Carson Wentz, it's all 2017. With Nick Foles, it was a defensive struggle with the 2024 team coming out on top. But now it's your turn. Who would win a dream matchup between the 2017 team and the 2024 team? And does the quarterback matter for the 2017 team? Get your answers in on the Back to the Future voice and text line 267-495-8531. Who would win a dream matchup between the two Eagles Super Bowl champions? We're going to play around with this. It's a work in progress, just like AI. This segment is a work in progress, but we're going to spend some Fridays with AI. All right, so be sure to check out my friends at the Clashing Conferences podcast. Lots of great things going on with their sports fan network. Go to clashingconferences.com to see what they have to offer and how you can get involved with the fun. And then Philly Goat, I showed you the slides yesterday. They just did a partnership. They're making golf shirts now. These golf shirts are incredible. I can't even do them justice. Go check out Philly Goat. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com. Promo code Jim Montgomery for 10%, not 20. Ryan's going to kill me. 10% off of your order at phillygoat.com. All right, Sixers, more of the same. Went up to Boston, got blown out, 123-105. No Maxey, no Paul George, no hope. Who cares? Kelly Oubre did have 27 points. But the key takeaway from this game is they are now 3.5 games back of that 10th spot, so we want to kind of increase that margin. However, the Brooklyn Nets are terrible as well. The Sixers remain tied with the Nets for the 6th draft pick in the upcoming draft or the lottery. Man, I can't believe we're relying on the Nets to determine our draft future, but Sixers lose again. 14 out of 16 now. They are in a free fall, as Tom Petty would say, and hopefully it continues to free fall. Flyers suffered a 4-1 loss to the Winnipeg Jets, who got their revenge. Now, no harm in this in the fact that the Jets are one of the best teams in the NHL, but just an overall lackluster performance. The trade deadline is today, so I'm not sure if that's weighing on some of the players' minds. But 4-1, they lose to the Jets. Matvei Mishkov with his 20th goal of the season, and he's doing this in limited minutes, man. There's no way he's not going to be, or put it this way, no way he shouldn't be Rookie of the Year. The Flyers are back in action after the trade deadline against the Seattle Kraken. They still are only 5 points back of that wild card, but so many teams for them to jump over. I would love to see them get on a nice little hot streak to end the season, kind of the reverse of what they did last year where they completely folded down the stretch. Some Phillies news since I am going to spring training. Aaron Nola pitched again and looked very, very well in doing so. Castellanos and Max Kepler went back-to-back in the game. Kepler went 2 for 3, so that's a good sign going into the second half here of spring training that he's getting hot. Dave Dombrowski was on WIP. Didn't really say much. I only heard clips of it. He keeps hanging his hat for some reason, though, on the fact that the Phillies' chase rate in the playoffs was middle of the pack. And I don't know if I'd be hanging my hat on that, considering half the teams were eliminated very early on. So that's not saying much there, Dave. But we'll see. I mean, you didn't expect him to give you that much. But it totally sounds like he's all on board. I don't know what's going to happen at the trade deadline, but buckle up. We could be in for a long season here. All right, let's recap yesterday's question of the day because it was an interesting one. After the Eagles signed Zach Bond, I said, what should the Eagles' next move be? 93% of you said sign Mekhi Becton. I don't disagree in the least with that. I think you got to keep that offensive line completely intact. And that's similar. Moose from Coatesville said the same thing. You got to keep that line consistent for Saquon. Moose was a big fan of both the Zach Bond and the Saquon signings. So I think it's hard to disagree with that. JT Todd from Downingtown said the same thing. He said, maybe we have a pipe dream of Myles Garrett. Let Howie do his magic. And then Chris from Mercerville brought up a interesting scenario here where you sign Becton, you let Sweat and Milton Williams walk, and then there are two guys that might be, and one of them is definitely available, the other one likely will be available, that have experience playing with the Eagles and have played in a Super Bowl with the Eagles, and that is Javon Hargrave and Hassan Reddick. Bring them back home on one-year deals and see where we go. I don't hate that at all. But let me know what you think. But as always, thanks for participating in the question of the day. Seems like everybody is all on board with Mekhi Becton. And one day after giving him, or a couple days, I guess I should say, after giving him his flowers, I realized why Darius Slay irritates me. Went on his podcast and took what was perceived, I guess, as a thinly veiled shot at both C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Jalen Hurts. He said he expects Reed Blankenship to step up and be the leader of the secondary. Again, it's one of those things that obviously people are probably making a bigger deal about. C.J. Gardner-Johnson kind of took offense to it. Slay followed it up and said, well, Reed is on the leadership council. It's just a natural thing. And then with Jalen Hurts, named his 4 elite quarterbacks, Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen. Didn't even mention Jalen Hurts' name. I'm not saying Jalen Hurts deserves to be considered an elite quarterback with those guys. That's an argument for a different time. But it just is one of those things. And is it a big deal? Probably not. But it's one of those things that Slay always seems to do this stuff, whether it's pointing out that he played well in an Eagles loss or just things like this. And then he plays dumb, like, oh, I didn't mean it like that. And it's like, yes, you do. You're not that dumb. So I'm kind of shifting a little bit. I'm like, you know what? Just good riddance. Thank you for the Super Bowl. Move on. And truthfully, when it comes to the elite quarterback conversation, I don't care at this point. I don't care about the rankings. Jalen Hurts, you could rank him number 38 in the NFL for all I care. The only stat that matters is that ring. And whatever. I mean, I kind of feel like Slay has been a headache, and it's been masked by the fact that the Eagles are winning. But this is the kind of thing that I don't even know if he can come back in because, I mean, the beef was on Twitter between him and CJ Gardner-Johnson. So I don't know if that's going to play into it. But Slay, stop playing dumb. You know what you're saying. You know what you're doing. You know what's going to happen. And the fact that you didn't even mention either of those guys' names, Jalen's not going to say anything. Jalen's just going to take it and internalize it. And if you do go to Detroit, Jalen's going to purposely pick you apart. CJ Gardner-Johnson, yeah, he's going to fire back. You can't do that. You knew what you were doing. Come on, Slay. And again, I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. He won the Super Bowl. He played well last year. But this is what Darius Slay is. This is who he's been, who he always has been. And I almost would rather them not even bring him back on a cheaper deal at this point. Be done with it. Let's end with some positive with the Sixers, though. If you haven't checked it out, the Eagles released their own version of Super Bowl Mic'd Up. It's about a 25-minute video. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And the relationship and the conversations that these guys are having, like once the game is in hand, was just incredible. The fact that Jalen Hurts went up to Saquon Barkley and flat out said, "This is because of you. You were the missing piece." I feel as though we got way more out of Jalen Hurts or saw more behind the scenes with Jalen Hurts than we ever have during this. I highly recommend watching it. The moments they had with their families after the game was just incredible. Not going to lie, teared up a little bit watching it. I was a couple double IPAs deep, so that may have played a role into it too. But, I mean, you could certainly make the case that this is the most beloved team in Philly sports history. Yes, we know we've said they're probably the best team ever in Philly, any sport, but you got to go, just watch it. It's the Eagles mic'd up version from the Super Bowl. It's just, and then the fact that Jalen Hurts wanted to stay in the game, went up to Nick Sirianni, was like, "Are you sure?" And he's like, yeah. We got it. And like he went over to Devontae and Saquon and was like, "Man, I would have stayed in." And Devontae's just cracking up. Like it's such a great watch. So I highly recommend it, but it makes me love this team even more. So Jalen's going to remember your comment, Slay. Trust me. He even made a comment, "The confetti's the right color this time." So trust me, Slay. He's got a little something for you when the Eagles play the Lions next year. All right, today we're going to go back to 1982. And on this day in 1982, the Sixers beat the Lakers 119-113 at the Spectrum to move within 1.5 games, essentially one behind in the win column to the Celtics in the Atlantic Division. Second-year guard Andrew Toney, who already has shown up in big games and was known as the Boston Strangler for his performance the year before against the Celtics, lit the Lakers up for 46 points on 21 for 29 shooting. It was his career high and gave all Sixers fans hope of what was about to happen. Championship dreams, Andrew Toney being the next guy to take over the reins for Dr. J. And what made this even more special is Andrew Toney came off the bench in this game. He scored the most points by a Sixer in almost 10 years. His 46 included 20 in the fourth quarter. The Sixers were down going into the fourth quarter by 9 points. Andrew Toney just took over the game and led the Sixers to the victory. It was the most field goals by any player in the history of the Spectrum. The Sixers would end up beating the Celtics for the Eastern Conference Championship that year. That was the famous beat LA up in the Boston Garden before losing to the Lakers 4-2 in the finals, which ultimately led to the Sixers making the trade for Moses Malone. But on this day, the Sixers beat the Lakers. Andrew Toney, a career-high 46 points, 20 of them coming in the fourth quarter when the Sixers were down. They just couldn't stop him. But all of this ended up with a loss in the finals to those same Lakers, but it helped to get Moses Malone in Philly, which ultimately put the Sixers over the top. And then finally today, our Big Five Women's Hall of Fame Spotlight. We're going to spotlight today Carlene Hightower from LaSalle. She played at LaSalle from 2004 to 2008. She is their 9th all-time leading scorer. She is a Philly native. She graduated from Prendy, where she averaged a double-double, and I read that she had a double-double in every game she played in high school. She was a 3-time All-Catholic League player. Once she got to LaSalle, she was the Big Five Player of the Year in 2008. She won the Atlantic 10 Most Improved Player. She was all Big Five, all A10. She's inducted into the LaSalle Hall of Fame in 2021 and the Big Five Hall of Fame in 2017. She ended up playing some pro ball over in Germany. When her career was over, she came back, did some coaching, she did some teaching, she did some supermodeling. She's just a jack of all trades. But Carlene Hightower is today's Women's Big Five Hall of Fame spotlight from LaSalle. One of the best to ever do it up on Broad and Olney. And one of the best ever in the Catholic League for that matter, too. To imagine scoring double-double in every game as a high school player. And she started all 4 years. So that's pretty impressive. So Carlene Hightower, you are today's Women's Big Five Hall of Fame spotlight. On this day back in 1982, Sixers beat the Lakers. Andrew Toney goes for a career-high 46, including 20 in the fourth quarter to lead the Sixers back from a 9-point deficit in the fourth quarter. Let me know your thoughts on the Slay thing. Maybe I'm being too hard on him, but I just feel like it's the same thing every year with Slay. And at least this time he's not on our team, so we'll see. Maybe I'm being too hard. Maybe I'm just a Slay. I'm at my limit with Slay, but let me know your thoughts on that. We'll have more on the Phillies, Sixers, and Flyers tomorrow. But today was Fridays with AI. Let me know who would win a game between the 2017 Eagles and the 2024 Eagles. According to AI, with Carson Wentz as quarterback, the 2017 team would win. Nick Foles at the helm, the 2024 team. I don't buy it. I think the 2024 team beats them going away. But let me know what you think. 267-495-8531. That's the Back to the Future voice and text line. Remember, we'll be from Clearwater tomorrow. We'll have more Women's Big Five Hall of Fame spotlights. Now to get ready to battle the crowds at the airport. Yep. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for March 7th, 2025. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a feel-good Friday. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.